Welcome into the Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. I am your host, Namath Pitts, and we have finally made it to Friday. That means it is the end of the week. It is the last show of the week, and we want to go out with a bang. We want to make it the best show of the week, and we've had a lot that has happened since yesterday. Obviously, one of the biggest topics is one that we're going to talk about to start the show today. I'm going to have a guest in studio that you all know. He's a legend in the state of Alabama. But before we do that, I want to remind you, if you have not already, like and follow our East Alabama Now page so that you don't miss a show. We're here every weekday, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Now, also at 6:30 p.m. every night, Monday through Friday, is EAN News. We have local news, which is brought to you by Mike Stedham and Katie Edwards. John Holder has your local weather on your street. There's some snow flurries up in Tennessee. They didn't make it down here to us, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to a trip to Tennessee soon to hopefully get some snow. But anyway, things are looking pretty good in Alabama weather-wise. The weekend, we've got some weather that's supposed to be coming in. John Holder can tell you more. I try to stick with my strengths, which is sports, and we've got wrestling. We told you yesterday we are going to be broadcasting live from Weaver High School tomorrow for the Coach Gene Taylor Memorial Wrestling Tournament. You can watch that right here on our East Alabama Now page. So if you come here at 9 a.m., you can watch the wrestling action all throughout the day, and it's going to be great. Gene Taylor, one of the most historical names in Weaver, one of the most historical names in the state of Alabama in the sport of wrestling. We had some news that broke yesterday, and it could be pretty significant if it is approved. Now, this is just a bill that has been filed, but Alabama lawmakers filed a bill allowing for NIL, name, image, likeness money, for high school athletes in the state of Alabama. I'm joined now in studio by a retired coach in the state of Alabama, a winning coach who has experience playing for Super 6 at that time, Coach. It's Super 7 now. Coach Michael Shortt, former Cleveland County coach. Coach, thank you for being with us today.
I enjoy being here. You know, Namath, I may be a legend today, but you're a future legend in sportscasting, buddy.
I highly doubt that. Coach, let's break down what happened, because me and you actually remember had a conversation at my previous job on the radio. We talked before the season about what are the chances that name, image, likeness could become a thing in the state of Alabama, because you said, and I quote, I remember this, you said, Namath, Georgia already has this, Tennessee already has this, and typically Alabama's going to follow suit on whatever Georgia and Tennessee does. Now, what are we talking about, you ask? Well, an Alabama state representative has filed a bill that would allow high school athletes to make money off of their image. The legislation, which is HB 25, is sponsored by Republican Jeremy Gray of Opelika, and it would be a name, image, and likeness NIL bill for high school athletes. Now, the bill is limited to the athlete and does not allow the use of marks, including a school logo, school name, school mascot, or trademarked logo, alongside with other restrictions. Gray, the one who is filing this bill, is running for Alabama Redrawn Congressional District 2, and he says, because it's already happening on a college level, what better way to get kids trained to the mindset of NIL by starting in high school? I disagree, but I'll give more on my thoughts in a minute. But Alabama has had a name, image, and likeness law since 2021, but it was revised in 2022 after it deemed stricter than the NCAA later regulations. The NCAA, if you don't know, which most of you should if you're a sports fan, they allow college athletes to profit from their name, image, and likeness under the NCAA NIL, according to NCSA recruiting. So, according to The Hill in Washington, D.C., Coach, there's 30 states in the United States that allow NIL at the high school level. Alabama is one of 20 that does not. But this bill is being filed to try to change that. So what are your opening thoughts on this bill that's being filed for name, image, likeness in the state of Alabama?
Well, as me and you talked about earlier on the other show, and I'd actually talked about it over a year ago on another radio sports talk show I did, we kind of had to watch who was following. Actually, Tennessee, when they dropped in first, and we look at the states around Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they kind of go, even in any kind of law, they kind of stay together. Because it's like the Southeastern Conference, they stick together. Well, when Tennessee went ahead and did it 2 years ago, then Georgia was next, because they're starting to lose maybe a player or two that wanted to transfer to Tennessee because they could go make some money that way. Well, then once Georgia passed it this past October, then that kind of puts it in Alabama's it's our chance now. What are we going to do? Now, I think, what'd you say, Mr. Gray? Mm-hmm. What he's talking about, I think he played at North Carolina State.
That's right. He sure did.
And, what he's talking about, these players deserve the opportunity to make money. I mean, that's what they're doing on the college level. But now we're jumping down into the high school level. So what these high school associations are going to have to do, like the Tennessee High School Athletic Association, the GHSA, which is Georgia High School Athletic Association, and now if this is passed, the AHSAA will be forced to make a call on what they're going to do, because you got to be able to protect these kids in anything that they do, protect their eligibility going into college. So what we're going to have to look at here is the wording of the bill. And we all know when it comes to politics, are we going to get a bill that's a hot bill? Mm-hmm. But what are we going to tag with it to get it along? So that's what it's going to come down to. So I think what we're going to see, and we'll talk about it in a minute, is Georgia used Tennessee's guidelines. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to use Georgia's guidelines. We may tweak them a little bit, but we're going to have to use their guidelines, because it's pretty much the guidelines that the NCAA used, and that has a lot to do with it, but we'll just talk about it in a minute. You kind of brought it up about being able to use your high school logos and stuff like that. You're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah. Coach, this is, like you said, Gray played for North Carolina State. He says he doesn't think it's fair that schools, but not athletes, are allowed to make money off of students. And he says, obviously, one reason for the bill, he says, is they may not make it to the NFL. They may not make it to the NBA, the NHL, the WNBA, but a lot of athletes are training their entire lives for a moment that they can get actually compensated for their skills. Of course, Ron Ingram, who's the AHSA, Alabama High School Athletic Association spokesperson, decided not to comment on this as of right now, which is expected. But Gray says he wants to put Alabama on a level playing field with other states. Coach, I'm going to kind of give my opening remarks on this. I just don't think I necessarily agree with this personally. I get where we're at in the college level now. I get what they're going in the NFL. But what happened to, I get, they work their entire lives to be compensated. I get it. Like, hard work should be rewarded. Do not get me wrong. But I worked my whole life, right, to get to where I wanted to be. At this point in my career, I could say, whether it's sitting in my room doing a Monday night Facebook Live show, interviewing you when you were the head coach of Cleveland County. Yeah. But nobody was compensating me for that at the time. But you worked hard to try to get to where you're at now, so that I get to bring the local sports here, and had the opportunity to work in Birmingham in a big market and different things, trying to change the landscape. It's just, I don't, people are going to disagree with what I'm saying, but life's just not fair sometimes, and I believe that God rewards your hard work and your faithfulness to Him, but I don't think name, image, likeness, giving that to high school athletes, I just don't think it's going to be good for them. Don't think it's going to be good for the community. I don't think it's going to be good for the state. Because I remember for me, Coach, part of hard work to try to get to the next level was getting up at 5 a.m. and going and working out, and then going to class and being in class all day, then going to practice, and then leaving practice and going to work at Jack's until 9, 10 p.m. I did that, on the weekends, working 10 hours. So I get where he's coming from. I don't like it at the college level. And that's my opinion. People are going to disagree. I certainly would not like it at the high school level.
Well, I disagree with you on the college level, because I think they make billions, not millions, but billions of dollars. So there is a way to compensate all athletes. Everybody thinks you're talking about football players. No, all athletes. Yeah. There's a way to compensate them all, not just a certain few, and still keep your locker room. That's what's going to be important. Now, in high school, how much money, we'll go an example. Did anybody watch Leroy and Coosa play, a 1A school? How much money did Leroy make this year off the playoffs? Enough to keep their program running.
That's right.
Whatever you make, you're normally spending. You don't have these $1 million coffers that you have, or a bank account where you can pay your players. Mm-hmm. Are there ways to maybe give them a card to go eat? Remember what happened, the big uproar this year because somebody gave out a card for somebody to go eat at Jack's? Mm-hmm. Well, maybe we'll be able to turn loose of things like that. But just being able to make some kind of money at the high school level. It's hard enough for us to be able to keep up with these college kids, and they're going to have to pay taxes on all this money they have. A lot of the college kids that get money, we know that a lot of that money doesn't make it to that kid's bank account. Mm-hmm. Families, somebody else gets a hold of it. what in the world do you think would happen with the high school kid? Sometimes it don't even really have much of a family, gets this money, where are they going to put it? Where are they going to take care of it at? So all that's got to be thought of. Where are you going to pay taxes? How old can the kid be when he can first start getting money? We've got kids. Ronnie Royale last night was already a star in the 8th grade. Can you give that guy money, or does it go to somebody else?
Yeah, it reminds me of Trent Seaborn, the quarterback for Thompson, who came in the state championship game and won it in 8th grade last year. Imagine the NIL deals that he would have got, and he can't even drive yet. His parents have to drop him off at school every morning, Coach. Like, just let that sink in. Like, they still have to drop him off at school every morning. You know, like, he's only a freshman this year, and you know, he came up just short of another state championship, but he's still got 3 years ahead of him, where the recruiting levels, I mean, already out of this galaxy for him, you know, and where people are already, he's been offered by essentially, it seems like everyone, even Alabama as a freshman. Which, of course, I don't know a lot of people know this, but the rumor, again, it's a rumor because it's not been proven true, I don't know, but the rumor is his family moved here because they were related to the Tagovailoas, and so that's how he ended up at Thompson. I don't know the validness behind that.
From Colorado.
But from Colorado. But if that's the case, as an Alabama fan, Coach, I feel good about Trent Seaborn being in red and white in about 4 years. But the name, image, likeness, you said something that I thought was interesting, and it was the gift card thing that happened earlier this year with Tuscaloosa County, where they had a gift card was given for a player of the week, and they had to forfeit that game, which the AHSA then came back and reversed that decision and reinstated that game. I'm not against necessarily that, you know, because I come from a small town where the reality is there was nights where we didn't have anything to eat but bread and mayonnaise, and that's just reality. I mean, it's tough. You know, my dad was a truck driver. Great parents. My dad was a truck driver on the road Monday through Friday. You know, my mom worked so hard, but there was nights where, you know, when my parents went through a divorce, you know, as part of my testimony is, you know, Dad being on the road, I was home, you know, like that's what we dealt with. And it would have been nice, you know, if my coach could have gifted me, because I remember walking up the road to Wendy's to try to get a $1 hamburger or whatever, you know. I remember those times. It'd have been nice if somebody could have gifted me a gift card, but I have to have a little bit of sympathy, Coach, for the people that don't play football. What about the kid that isn't an athlete? What about that kid that it can't be gifted a gift card? And again, I just, for me, I'm just against it at the high school level.
Well, think about all the different scoreboard shows or sports shows around the state that have given out an MVP for this or an MVP for that or Player of the Week. I mean, it's went on for years.
Yeah.
You know, used to have, you know, KFC. You know, everybody want to eat the chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, that went on, and I don't see anything wrong with that, being able to do that. But whatever you're going to do, if you're going to compensate players at the high school level, we got to figure out a way to compensate all of them and not just one or two of them, because in high school, at 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, you will lose your locker room in a hurry if you don't take care of everybody and not just put it to one or two people. It can be lost quickly.
All right, Coach, you're saying we got to do this, so here's my follow-up question to you. Coach, how do we do this? How do we make sure that not just one or two are compensated? How do we make sure it is an equal playing ground for number 88 that doesn't touch the field as it is for number 10 that's the quarterback?
That's why it's a dangerous world to step into. And as you mentioned a while ago, I said this, once Georgia did it and once Tennessee did it, we're going to be forced to do it, because if I'm a quarterback or a great player in the state of Alabama, I'm going to go to Georgia where they're giving away money. I mean, everybody would. So all of a sudden we start worried about losing players and that kind of stuff, then we're going to have to, you know, we're going to have to make a change. And that's what we've done. I get real quick, I think this is a good place for me to give you the guidelines that we will probably have to follow. I'm going to read them off because this is Georgia's guidelines.
Yeah, let's hear them.
And I think that's what we'll do. The first thing you have to do is intellectual property. There's no marks may be used, and you mentioned this, including but not limited to school logos, school names, school uniforms, school mascots, anything that has your school name on it. And remember, the AHSAA, they don't own those logos, but those logos are part of the AHSAA, right. So they can't use them. No school apparel or equipment shall be worn, which includes school names, school uniforms, school logos, school mascot, or any apparel displaying any of the trademark AHSAA logos or acronyms.
Well, Coach, I don't know how they're going to make any money on name, image, likeness, because you can't do anything. All right, I'm going to support Namath Pitts, but he can't say a word about where he's from, who he plays for, or anything like that.
No member school faculty may be used or facility for the purpose of name, image, and likeness activities. Can't go to the stadium or the gym or the wrestling mat and say, hey, this is what he's doing. No activities in conflict with a member school's local school district policy may be endorsed. That's like tobacco products, alcohol products, stuff like that. You might go outside the school system and endorse, but you cannot endorse it because the school doesn't. Mm-hmm. Students and their families, and this is a good one. Students and their families should seek professional guidance as how NIL activities could impact their college financial aid in the future. Let's say that you're wanting to go on a Pell Grant or some type of grant and you're already receiving all this money. Well, they'll say, I don't have to give you that money to go to college anymore because you're already making it. So they better seek professional help when it comes to that. Oh my goodness. Tax implications and the other issues that may come by. Son, I know that money's going to your mom and daddy, but we got to pay taxes on it too. So how are they going to be able to handle that? And then get this one, within 7 calendar days after entering into any NIL type contract or agreement, a student or the student's parents or guardians must notify the principal or the athletic director of the school that this has already happened because they have to know.
Coach, I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting to see how this goes down, how this folds, see if this file is approved, not approved. Does the HSA go forward with it? Does it not go forward with it? But sitting here hearing about the name, image, likeness, even that bill seems like it's going to be hard for many athletes to even profit from their name. So I could see something like this maybe getting through because of that. But again, I'm against it. You know, I get it. I'm that traditional guy where it's like, man, you work so hard to get away from where you grew up at, in a sense. You know, for the people that come from brokenness, like I had to, grind to get to this point to where I'm at. Now, it's been all God's blessings. Do not get me wrong. Like I am nothing without, without God. Like He literally redeemed me. When the world says that I'm unredeemable, He calls me redeemable. Like everything I have is because of God. But I do believe that God has rewarded my faithfulness to Him. When battling adversity and brokenness, clinging to Him is the vine, the one, the true center. And so I believe that He rewards that. But that just grinding to try to get to where your goals are, your dreams. And even in college, I get where it's at, profiting, the college. But again, that free education, free scholarship, I have my thoughts and opinions. Others have their. Another thing, and we need to take a break, Coach. So, matter of fact, let's take a break. We'll come back, and I got one more question on this. We'll talk Super 7 games. So how about we just go ahead and take a break? So don't go away, guys. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with Coach Michael Shortt. You're watching The Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.
Ted's Floors and Beyond is excited to introduce our all-new outdoor living collection. Have you ever dreamed of elevating or even creating an outdoor living space, whether it be for grilling, lounging, playing, entertaining, or just winding down? Our quality tile and stone, combined with our expert craftsmanship, will no doubt create unforgettable outdoor moments with family and friends, while also enhancing the beauty and value of your home. Call us today.
Welcome to Room by Room Home Furnishings, a locally owned and operated furniture store located in Oxford, Alabama. We've been serving Northeast Alabama and the surrounding area since 2007. We offer stylish and affordable new arrivals and all the top trends to help you get a cozy and homey atmosphere with hand-picked home furnishings and decor to fit anybody's style and budget with knowledge, personality, and good vibes. Let Room by Room in Oxford, Alabama help you score amazing deals and turn your house into a home.
Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you The Locker Room each and every day. Ted's Floors and Beyond has all your flooring needs, whether it's hardwood, laminate, carpet, tile, luxury vinyl. They have it for you right there at Ted's. You can go by their showroom there in Anniston and you can pick out what you like, want, and need, and they can do that there at Ted's. Also, they've got their partnership with Welburn Cabinet and will offer you a complete kitchen or bath makeover. That includes cabinets, countertops, flooring, backsplashes, tile showers. They can get it done there at Ted's Floors and Beyond. And now they offer you work on your outdoor space. Whether it's an outdoor kitchen, patio, or living space, they have specially made outdoor tiles and stones that can enhance your outdoor experience. Go by and see them today at their showroom in Anniston on Highway 431, right before you get to Sachs Elementary School, or visit them online at shopteds.com. That is shopteds.com. Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you the Locker Room. Welcome back into the Locker Room. We continue on this Friday afternoon with the legend, head coach Michael Shortt. And Coach, we're talking name, image, likeness in the state of Alabama. And before the break, I had a question that came to my mind before we went into the break. And it was, the transfer portal has already become an issue in the state of Alabama. But how is name, image, likeness going to affect that? Because I think it's only going to make it worse. Because when you see schools like Orange Beach that are opening this $500 million, I don't even know how much $1 million facility, places like Gulf Shores that are doing all the things they're doing with the facilities. Oxford, who just got that new facility, those schools got money. And those schools could say, hey, name, image, likeness. Come on. I mean, how's this going to affect transfer portal? You got to wonder how much more crooked it could make certain people. They literally, the high schools cannot use that as a way to get players to come to their school. But I can see where it could get, here's how it would happen. Find a good booster that has a good business, whether it be a car business or a Jack's or Hardee's or whatever business, and ask that kid to come over, would you come to my business this weekend, and would you just hang out? And all the little local kids want to go to the best quarterback or the best wide receiver and go hang out at his house or go hang out with him, and that's how they could pay him. But the problem's going to be when all these kids start saying, well, they've got this and they got that. Well, if they've got that, that means they've got the capabilities to have sponsors or boosters that can help give me some kind of money legally. And I think it will be legally done, but I don't think the ethical side of it's going to be good for what we're trying to teach these kids about high school sports. Because I keep talking about the locker room. If you lose your locker room, if I'm an offensive lineman and you're teaching him, oh, son, you give me everything you got for your school. You give it all for Wellborn High School. You give it all for Cleveland County High School. And he's going to say, I love you, Coach, but I got to go because I can go make a little bit of extra money over here.
Yeah, it's going to take away from playing for your hometown play. And
Yes.
I just think there's just a level of importance in playing for the school you grew up in. Like, I get situations are different, but I'll never forget my senior year, my wrestling coach left. You know, wrestling was my sport like football is to many. And I had an opportunity. I could have moved to Lincoln, and I could have moved to Lincoln the right way. My dad lived on the river. We could have said, hey, I'm living at the river. My dad had custody. I could have lived at Wellborn. But now, obviously, I could have went to Lincoln. But obviously, I was staying majority with my grandmother in Wellborn, not with my dad on the river. I only went to the river on the weekends. But I had an opportunity, Coach, where I could have left, and people tried, I'm not going to say names, people tried to, hey, come wrestle for us at Lincoln, we need a 138, we're like, and, I could have went, but I just felt like, Coach, 12 years of my life at Wellborn was not worth it for, one season of wrestling. I didn't think it was worth it, and that was me, and so I decided, hey, instead of wrestling my senior year, I'll stay at the school that I grew up in and graduate with the guys that I went to school with every single day. And that was something I chose to do. Now, every situation's different. You're looking to go to college. I didn't really care about doing, going to college to wrestle. Once I, battled MCL and realized I was just overrated, to be honest with you. I realized the college level for me probably wasn't going to happen. But in the Lord, again, God's sovereignty. He opened up an internship with FCA. Yeah. And so when I could have been wrestling, I was getting to serve with FCA, and man, God used that to grow me in a lot of ways. But someone that could profit from this is private schools. Coach, we had a local private school that got to play for a Super 7 yesterday, and it's Mark O'Brien and the Coosa Christian Conquerors. They did fall to Leroy, as Leroy claimed its second straight AHSA Class 1A state championship with a 28-21 win over Coosa Christian at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And the Bears won the state title under interim coach Chan Lowe. Head coach, he took over when head coach John Massey, who serves in the National Guard, was deployed back in October. And Coach, it was a game that came down to the final quarter, to the last 4 minutes. They exchanged scores early in the game. The Bears ultimately pulled away and outscored the Conquerors 14-7 in the fourth quarter to claim their 7th state title in program history. Leroy's Braden Hubner went 10 for 20 with 117 yards and 1 touchdown, and Javion Collins led the team with 15 carries for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. And for Coosa Christian, John David Justice finished 8 of 15 for 51 yards, and Cannon Wilson finished with 18 carries for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. Coach, what were your thoughts on the Leroy Coosa Christian game?
Well, first of all, we've had some great games. I mean, there's a lot of times we get in the Super 7, you have a lot of blowouts, but we haven't had that. So there's been some great games. Probably as good a already start to the Super 7 we've ever had. Got to give a lot of credit to Coosa Christian and Coach O'Brien and his whole staff to go where they started out, and I know we had the adversity they went through with having to lose some ball games and through forfeits, but to overcome that. And I think that what they did was they did a great job of looking at it and saying, it's us against the world. And that's pretty much the way that they took it, us against the world. And I think the difference in that ball game comes down to Leroy has been there, not just the last 2 years, but they've been there before. Look at the number of times that Leroy had the opportunity to win state championships. What have they had? They've been back-to-back before.
Yeah, this is their number 7 in program history.
Yeah, so they've been there before. South Alabama, or we'll just say a blue blood of high school football. Yeah. That's where the difference in the 5A game we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, you have to give them all the credit because they took them right down to the wire. And I think maybe the turnovers, and a lot of times turnovers come when you're trying too hard. Mm-hmm. And you're there, boy, it's our first time here, the nerves, your stomach is in a knot, and you're trying too hard. And I know people think, how can you try too hard? You can. You can force yourself into doing things you don't normally do. And Coosa's normally not a team that turns the ball over. Penalties, yes, but as far as turnovers, they're not used to that. And I think those turnovers finally caught up with them yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like John David Justice interception, I think it was before the punt, when the punt blocked, a lot of people thought, oh, that might have been the game. I was telling a buddy, I said, hey, they got 8 minutes left, but you can't let Leroy just chew the clock and go down the field. But when he threw that interception in the end zone, he overthrew the two guys there and his one receiver. I did feel like that was a play. I was like, I don't really understand why he threw that, but I'm not a quarterback, never have been. Yeah. I have been third string, but not a starter. I've never played in a game like that. And so I thought that was a play that, it was interesting. But again, it was early turnovers that did pay dividend for Coosa to put them up 14-0.
Yes.
It was a second quarter surge for Leroy. They brought it back 14-14 at half. Then the fourth quarter again, it was 14-7 for Leroy. A punt block, tied the game. Coach, if you're in that position with about 5 minutes left in the game, you're down 7, would you rather get the safety and get the ball back with a chance to go take the lead, or would you rather have the tie game and just see if they can go down the field and score?
It all depends on each coach knowing his team and knowing where his strengths are at. Is my strength on defense? That's what we'll try. Because I knew they're probably thinking, we can get down here and get a stop and get the ball close and maybe get a chance for a field goal, to end it on a field goal.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different ways you can go there. Either way you just said about the safety and then getting the ball, that works too. But I think knowing them and knowing their defensive coordinator and knowing how confident they are in their defense, they thought, all right, let's just be 21-all here and then go down there and see if we can hold them and get it back and get a field goal. But look at Leroy. They're down 14-0, and from that point on, it's a 28-7 in scoring difference. So it was a great game to watch. And like I said, props to them. A lot of people think, I'd rather not get there than to get there and lose. No. You want getting there is a big time thing. It's something those kids will remember for the rest of their life.
Teddy Whitmire, defense coordinator for Coosa Christian, did a great job. Coach, Gulf Shores featured some former Calhoun County players. Alexandria's Ronnie Royal was the one that got MVP, most valuable player. We've seen former Oxford players at Gulf Shores, but they're state champions. Ronnie Royal made one of the best catches I think I've seen at the high school level in the state of Alabama. Made one of the best catches I've seen at the Super 7. Gulf Shores is state champions.
They are. And I know a while ago people were thinking, well, you just said, Coach, that the experience of being there before counts, and Ramsey's a back-to-back team. There's a reason you very rarely see back-to-back-to-back. Alabama's tried it. Georgia tried it, and it didn't work. So it's very hard to get 2, much less 3. But Gulf Shores is a little different animal there as far as the kind of team they are. They had a great team. if you watched the game last night, what you got to see was a lot of, and I'm going to say something here some people may not understand, but they had a lot of NFL concepts on their defense. And people would think, what's that? Well, a lot of NFL stuff. Why? Because the defense coordinator coached in the NFL. So that's a big difference. You have a coaching staff of all of those guys were either a head coach in college or an assistant in college or was a coordinator in the NFL, along with a lot of money and a lot of good players. They had great players. They were a well-coached football team. There was no doubt about that, even though they did have some turnovers. But just watching them and the little bitty things that they did, they're a very well-coached football team that is not going to go away.
Absolutely. Gold Shores is your state champions. They featured a couple former Oxford Yellow Jackets. Speaking of the Oxford Yellow Jackets, one of the most historic teams to come through Oxford in any sport was the 2023 baseball team. And that team, which just added 3 more college signees, is about to pick up 2 more awards tonight. Let me tell you about that quickly before we go to the break. Oxford's 2023 state championship baseball team just recently had 3 more college signees, and the Yellow Jackets are going to receive not 1 but 2 prestigious awards tonight. Wes Brooks, former coach of the Oxford Yellow Jackets, who stepped down after the end of last season, he will receive the National Federation of State High School Association, and he's going to receive the Alabama Coaches Association Coach of the Year, and he's going to receive the ALABCA Sammy Dunn Award. Hayes Harrison, the 2023 Alabama Sports Writer Association's Mr. Baseball Player and Gatorade Player of the Year for Alabama, will receive the ALABCA Player of the Year. The awards will be presented tonight at the NFHS and the ALABCA Banquet, which is going to be in Birmingham at the Winfrey Hotel. This comes a month after current seniors Carter Johnson signed to play with Alabama, R.J. Brooks to Jacksonville State, and Forrest Heathcock to Snead State Community College. So, congratulations to Wes Brooks. NFHS, we're not just talking the state of Alabama, we are talking national federation across the country. And he's the Coach of the Year and is much deserved. As most know, Coach Wes Brooks stepped down at the end of last season, took a different role at Oxford, and now they have hired the new head coach from former Austin Peay University, and that is Travis Jansen, who is going to be coaching the Yellow Jackets this season. Carter Johnson, R.J. Brooks, you heard it, certainly give the Yellow Jackets another good squad this year, seeking to be back-to-back 6A state champions in baseball. Hey, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we've been doing rankings the past couple days. We've got girls today. We're going to give you girls wrestling rankings, and we're going to give you girls basketball rankings. Don't go away. We continue on this Friday afternoon. You're watching The Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.
Ted's Floors and Beyond is excited to introduce our all-new outdoor living collection. Have you ever dreamed of elevating or even creating an outdoor living space, whether it be for grilling, lounging, playing, entertaining, or just winding down? Our quality tile and stone, combined with our expert craftsmanship, will no doubt create unforgettable outdoor moments with family and friends, while also enhancing the beauty and value of your home. Call us today.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today. For over 60 years, Oxford Lumber has been servicing our area, and our customer service has always been our main focus. Our customer service is what sets us apart from anyone else. From the moment you enter, our highly trained staff will treat you like family.
To enthusiastically provide total customer satisfaction within a positive and self-fulfilling employee relations environment. Visit us at any of our 4 locations or at oxfordlumber.com.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
The Locker Room continues to roll on this Friday afternoon. I'm the host, Namath Pitts, and we are continuing to talk sports in East Alabama, and we're going to roll on with rankings. But before we do, again, the Super 7 has been this week in Tuscaloosa. We want to give a big thank you, big shout out, congratulations to all of our East Alabama officials that made it to the Super 7 in terms of officiating. One of our officials was the head referee last night for the Gulf Shores game, Robert Howell. So congratulations to him and congratulations to all of our local officials here in East Alabama who got the opportunity to officiate in Tuscaloosa for the Super 7. We've been doing rankings this week, and so we're going to continue to do that. And we're broadcasting tomorrow from the Gene Taylor Memorial Wrestling Tournament at Weaver. So it's only fitting that we talk, well, female wrestling, the Weaver Bearcats. Although the ladies aren't wrestling tomorrow, they still have one of the best teams in the state of Alabama in female wrestling as well as men's. So let's get into our rankings. The weight classes are a bit different for females than they are for boys. So let's start with the 100-pound weight class. And starting at number 5, and I'm going to pronounce names wrong and butcher them, so I apologize. But number 5 is Sarah Mungia of Smith Station. Number 4 is Sydney Morse of Mortimer Jordan. Number 3 is Cheyenne Penn of Auburn. Number 2 is Landon James of Robertsdale. And number 1 is Alana Gerard of Daphne. That is your 100-pound weight classes for wrestling. 107 is Carly Cargill from Prattville, or Cargill is number 5. Madeline King is 4 of Arab. Number 3 is Cadence Siegler of Thompson. 2 is Molly Sidman of Auburn. And Mackenzie, I'm not even going to try. Mackenzie's number 1 from Daphne. All right, let's move to the next weight class. And the next weight class is 114, the 114-pound weight class. Number 5 is Kinley Fulmer of Weaver. How about Coach Fulmer's daughter right there coming in at number 5? Number 4 is Jessica Wright of Montgomery Catholic. Juliana Eldridge of Wetumpka is 3. Emily Smith is 2 of Daphne. And number 1 is Catherine Grigsby of Hewitt-Trustful. Moving forward to 120. 120 at number 5 is Rand Curtis of Bob Jones. 4 is Addison Hollis of Daphne. 3 is Allie Anderson of the Weaver Bearcats. 2 is Jenna McDonald of Daphne. And number 1 is Lindley Weltson of Thompson. Moving forward to 126, it's Olivia Parker at number 5 for Montgomery Catholic. Number 4 is Alana Jackson of Russell County. 3 is Alicia Whitman of Thompson. 2 is Rylia Gleber of Gulf Shores. And number 1 is Evelyn Smith of Enterprise. 132, Philippa Parker of Montgomery Catholic is number 5. Number 4 is Natalie Black of Thompson. 3 is Mariah Johansson of Weaver. 2, I'm not even going to attempt it, but Tamaine Benamarito of Enterprise is 2, and number 1 is Khalees Hill of Daphne. And I apologize if I mispronounce any names. Number 5 at 138 is Haley Pate of Brookwood. 4 is Cadence Sellers of Central. 3 is Naya Vines of Thompson. Either way, she is Anaya Vines of Thompson is 3. Kimber Alford of Daphne is 2. And Carly Thomas of Bob Jones is number 1. 145, Jessica Cook is number 5 of Sparkman. Heather Butler is number 4 from Chelsea. Estella Islas of Thompson is 3. Jesselyn Allen is 2 of Grissom. And number 1 is Lena Johansson, back-to-back state champion right there at number 1 for the Weaver Bearcats. 152, Ryland Page of Fultondale is 5. Emily Lear of Auburn. Lear is 4. Riley Jeffcoat of Daphne is 3. Coach Jeffcoat's daughter right there. Nevaeh Jackson is 2 of Central Phoenix City. And Mackenzie Schultz of Enterprise is number 1. 165, Autumn Botwell of Arab is 5. Christy Anna Belcher of Vestavia Hills is 4. Patience Ransom of Brookwood is 3. Talia Wade is 2 of Daphne. And Kalia Loving of Sparkman is number 1. 185, it is Devonay Henry of Foley at 5. Kyra Fletcher of Madison County at 4. Ava, not even going to try it, from Thompson is 3. Molly Eaton is 2 of Brookwood. And number 1 is Mallory Ladd of Enterprise. 235, This is the biggest weight class. Kia Loving is 5 of Sparkman. Israel Hart of Enterprise is number 4. Naya Turner of Arab is 3. Foley. Nominata is what we're going to roll with from Foley is 2. And Anaya Griffin is 1 of Pinson Valley. I apologize for the mispronunciation on the names, but I'm from West End, Cobb, Anniston. Sometimes we miss names. All right, we've got not just wrestling rankings today, we've got basketball as well. So let's get into the basketball, starting with Class 1A. In Class 1A, no surprise here, Ace Austin and the Spring Garden Panthers are number 1, undefeated on the season. Number 2 is Skyline, Bell Greens 3, Winneboro 4, and Shoals Christian is 5. Moving on to Class 2A, it is Cold Springs at number 1. They're undefeated. Mars Hill Bibles 2, Decatur Heritage 3, North Sand Mountain 4, and Abbeville number 5. In Class 3A, number 1 is Lauderdale County at 6-0. 2 is Susan Moore. Clements is 3. St. James from Montgomery is number 4. And the Plainview Bears are number 5. In Class 4A, how about Coach Eddie Bullock? Eddie Bullock and the Anniston Bulldogs are 10-0. They're number 1 in the East Alabama Now rankings. Good Hope is 2 at 8-1. Prattville Christian 3. Deschler is 4. And Jackson, the Aggies, are number 5. Class 5A, Moody the Blue Devils are number 1. Arab the Knights are number 2. Scottsboro Wildcats are 3. Jasper Vikings are 4. And then Selma is number 5. In Class 6A, Hazel Green is number 1 at 11-0. Mortimer Jordan, the Blue Devils, are number 2 at 10-0. Number 3 is Hillcrest Tuscaloosa, who's 8-4. Number 4 is the Cougars of Clay Chalville at 10-1. And then Park Crossing is number 5. And finally, in Class 7A, the Rebels of Vestavia Hills are number 1. Bob Jones is 2. Chelsea is 3. Sparkman is 4. And then the Bucks of Hoover are number 5. That's our East Alabama Now girls basketball rankings, our girls wrestling rankings. And I got to tell you guys, it has been awesome being with you guys this Friday afternoon. Stay safe this weekend. Enjoy the Christmas parties. I know they get started, and because we got one tomorrow night. But why don't you join me starting tomorrow at 9 a.m. from Weaver High School for the Gene Taylor Memorial Wrestling Tournament. Other than that, I'll see you guys Monday on The Locker Room. Thank you for watching. Presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.